Welcome to Unbiased and On the Fence. I'm Shane. Thank you all so much for joining on this wonderful Tuesday. Sorry we got caught up on 3D stuff today, problems with computers and connections and all of that great stuff. But I do have Michelle Wolfe with me. How are you doing today, Michelle?
Still learning my laptop, Shane. How are you?
Hey, it's with the technology, it's always a learning process, right? I mean, you can never quite figure it out because every time you do, they change something or update something, and you got to relearn it. That's why I got out of web design, because it was like I like to get into the sweet spot and feel comfortable, but I could never do that because as soon as I learn the stuff, it's like they switch it, and they do that with programs and everything. It's like, they just changed Gmail again. I'm like, why? Why did you change it? But they're trying to make it better. I understand.
Like life isn't hard enough.
Right.
Now we're changing the Gmail. Oh.
Why did you add more buttons? Come on, man.
We don't need any more buttons. No. Well, the sad, sorry truth really is for me is this is the getting closer to 50 here. This is the first laptop that I've actually ever owned. When I sold cars, I had, a work computer that I went on. I had specific programs I used, whatever, very basic. But this is, it's a whole new learning process for me. And that's where I'm like in that process of having so many ideas that I want to get out. And I'm stuck at this point of having stuff and how and what programs I can use and if they work. And getting there, but
yeah, and you can never get there and say, hey, I've made it. It's like they keep moving the finish line on you.
I know. I'll be able to figure this out a little while. Try anything simple. So, yeah.
Well, it's a little glitchy, but you're not turned into a reptilian, so we're still good here.
Oh, well, that's good. Not today.
Right. So, is it all the energies? Is that you actually have a storm going on there? So we might have to cut it short at some point if you get knocked out, because I don't really have a lot to talk about without you here today. Because I've been down in a rabbit hole, and
Yeah, you're a little dizzy right now. That was me last week. All of these rabbit holes spinning around. There's a lot of things that are going on, and I could talk about right now, but to even finish the one concept was, off in another direction. Just so much information to explore that is becoming readily available, and all these different channels delving into it now. So, just so many exciting topics to look at, all really under this great big umbrella of awakening, event, ascension, and how things are all tied together. That's what I love. That's my.
Have you noticed? I noticed you grabbed your glasses earlier, and you don't normally do that. Is your eyesight worse today? Because I woke up and my left eye is just so blurry. I was looking for my glasses actually before the show, and it's been so long since I've needed them that I don't even know where they are, so I couldn't grab it. But I've been having to really get close on stuff because my left eye is like, I don't know. Maybe I lied on it. I don't. I like to keep all things open, but when I saw you grabbing yours, and you don't normally do that too often, I was like, maybe it's something going on with our eyesight,
I have absolutely had vision changes, remarkable vision changes, very rapidly within a short span of days. Really, since the end of last week, I started noticing some big difference. You said your left eye was like about a week and a half ago. for about a week and a half, my left eye was constantly twitching too.
I haven't had the twitching.
Just okay, because a lot of people have it, and Luna Ash mentioned just last week or a few days ago that twitching was actually an activation, which was wonderful affirmation. And I know that a few people have been and then I definitely did see with the energies predicted coming in by several sources, very rapid changes actually, even up to last night. Remarkable. Every day is
sorry, you cut out for a second, but yeah, every day. I was going to say, I was just looking at the Schumann resonance, and last night when I was, at some point I was feeling like I had a headache all day yesterday, and I kept drinking water and drinking it, thinking maybe I'm dehydrated or something, but at some point I'm like, I think I've drank enough water, I'm not dehydrated anymore. And then I checked the Schumann resonance, and we were getting like a pulse at that time. I guess it's this first one or something. I'm not really sure. Let's see. I know it was last night sometime, but I'd had it all day yesterday, and I see there was pulses. For the last day, it's been these strong pulses that you can see, these lines up and down. See, normally it's really smooth, you know, but you can see these white hot spots where
it's starting to boop, boop, boop again.
Where we're getting blasted.
Throwing down some splashes of color on there. I think so. Yeah. Well, I have found as well. Like I last week I went through. It woke me up. It was Thursday or Friday morning. So I'm writing everything in an agenda now, or I won't know what day is what and when it happened. So I'm making notes all the time, so I can remember when these things happen. The sound, the pressure was phenomenal. It lasted for 2 days, and it really peaked. And that's when, bam, I noticed the vision change. And then waking up the next morning and just feeling completely different. God, that was the weekend before. Honest to goodness. Anyways, so I experienced that. It really, the last week compared to the week before that, day, just like that dread that was just terrible, sticking, I know, to a lot of people. It certainly was to me. After those 2 days of such intense pressure activation, no denying it. I literally woke up on a Sunday morning, and it was that experience of feeling like everything's new. And then since that point, since that time, every day has been better for me, has been more powerful, feeling everything, more of the energy, more of a visual. You're talking about a certain type of pressure. So the different pressures and ringing that were going on, I'm starting to notice variances within that, in a sort of where the pressure is, and I'm finding that I'm being able to discover that not a lot, like 2 people really that I am connecting with, and now there's a recollection of that. I know that's that feeling, that's that syncing up with them, and you know what? It's that they've experienced the same thing as well. So that's been a great affirmation.
A few people are mentioning that they've had the eye twitching. Someone, Greenheart, said they had the headache, the migraine yesterday, and it did get pretty bad at some points.
Yeah,
it would die off.
Jessica had a headache.
That's your daughter, right?
Yeah, my she quit her job yesterday. We talk about life change. She's like, I'm not happy. Out. I'm like, oh, I'm so proud of you. She quit without having another job. I was like, doesn't matter. You go. After being so frustrated for so long, thinking that she had to fit in 3D world rules. I'm like,
I like that.
No, you don't.
I love those because it's like, I who was it? Somebody was talking about they stopped and they tightened their shoestring just in the middle of walking through an airport. It's like, I just got to break the cycle. Anytime I think about it, I'm like, stop and mess with your shoe, you know, and think about how that little thing can change so much, you know what I mean? And when you think about that, it's like just to up and quit your job and stuff, you know, that's you know?
I think that's the interesting thing about, it's not necessarily interesting for the people experiencing it, for sure. But that real, you know, that dark night of soul, getting to that point, as terrible as it is, it's really kind of like, how low can you go? Because it's up to you. It's when you're ready to surrender, when you're ready to just give up control. And that's really with her. You know, a lot of the information that we discuss that she knows, you know, I teach, very interested in, but then she seemed to really pull away from that over, you know, the last 8 months or so, and be trying those other avenues externally to be happy. But the happiness always crashes and crashes. It's lower until she finally just gives up. And it's like having a horse run in circles, you know.
Yeah.
Don't tire themselves out, and they just tell themselves to be ridden, right? And
oh, did I lose you here? Oh, I lost you. Sorry, you froze on me. Let's go. Let's kill the cameras and see if that speeds it up, because it just came to a grinding halt there. I'm gonna kill my camera.
And that's, aww.
There you go. Yeah, if you can, yeah, let's kill our cameras for a second.
There you go.
I think that'd be better, because someone was just talking about Aluna Ash, and in our pre-show discussion, you had brought her up as well. Somebody saying 10 and 90, or what was it? Yeah, let me see.
You've got her information, because she puts out so much information every single day. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't follow her as close as other people. I have watched her stuff before, though. I mean, I'm aware who she is. I just don't follow it very closely.
Well, I have time when she does, like, I've been blown away information that she puts out, and how, you know, I'm being an air sign and listening to the information she, you know, she gives specifically under each of those signs, to be so when Jess gave up, you know, having to have control, left the job, came home, to listen tarot reading for water signs. And honestly, Jess's experience and what she was going through. So I got her hooked with you really helped me and my daughter.
Are you talking about Aluna Ash?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, it cut out a little bit, so I missed part of that. But you said she's hooked on Aluna Ash now too?
Well, I got her to listen to her water sign reading for the last half of August, and it was so dead on. It was her experience that she was going through. You couldn't have said it any better, really.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and a lot of times it seems like stuff like
so.
Whoops, sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
No, you're fine. No, you're good.
Yeah, I was going to say, a lot of times it seems like whenever something's sort of given to a group or just a sign, it seems more vague. You know what I mean? That's like one of the reasons why I didn't do the horoscope thing. But for it to be so exact, that's awesome.
That's what really blows me away. When she does, because when she breaks down the astrological signs into the grouping of elements, as in fire, the accuracy goes up tremendously. And I knew that I experienced absolute awe in the information that she had given to me before for my element sign. So I didn't even listen. I just winged it and I put it on without even telling her while she was just sitting here. So she just got hooked and she sat there and watched the whole thing.
Oh, nice.
And
111 people in here right now. I just noticed the ones down there.
yeah. And I mean, she's familiar obviously with tarot because I've been doing it for well over a decade now. So, but like I said, she's straight away. And I seem to be avoiding really come to understand again that none of other doors will open or stay open for any length of time that will keep you happy. This is dealt with until you actually understand.
Sorry, I was using my.
About.
Oh, you were talking. I thought you stopped talking.
That's right.
So,
I was done.
Okay, so I was using our power of intention to make our connection better. I was saying, if
did it work?
It did seem to work, and then I stopped, and then it got worse again. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe if more people join in.
The dark clouds are starting to move away, so I don't know if hopefully that'll make things a little bit better. But yeah, I can't recommend it enough. If anybody's curious about tarot and hasn't heard Aluna's readings yet, they're really fantastic.
Oh yeah, someone else, Bella, is actually chiming in saying Aluna is very spot on. So that's awesome.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. And you can really tell that she taps into different people's energies. And she will also get an awareness of when she's receiving certain messages within the larger group. And she's very clear about letting you know those differences and why. So there's nothing wishy-washy about the information. And when it checks off so many things, one after the other, honestly, there's no way around it as far as being anything else. It's not guesswork. She really has an amazing ability to have a going on for everybody.
That's awesome. Yeah, I should have included her link in the bottom down there. Who was it that was saying something? Maybe they can. Maybe one of the mods can post her link, paste it into the chat or something. So
I'm sure there's a few there.
So dream time. A lot going on in the dream world. Mine have been very not clear like the one I share with my dad or whatever, but I've definitely had some vague recollections of dreams, and even laying there in my sleep or awake, kind of lingering in that dream state.
I'm so glad you said that. That's amazing. Yes, I totally understand. I was going to bring that up myself. It's like
I'm so
processing. It's like you're still going through it. I'm still getting this process of, it's like an in between, like almost waking up. It's like, I'm not even sure if I'm awake or not. It's like halfway in between.
Yeah.
Awareness that I'm.
But it's almost like it's almost like you're like normally if there was like a balance, right? It's normally like I'm more in the dream world than I am awake. So it's like at any point I might forget I'm dreaming or something. But now it's been like the other way around. It's been like I feel like I'm completely awake, but the dreams are still there.
Yes.
The images and stuff. And even when I go outside and like I'm wide awake and I'm going out to like look at the stars at night, and I'm trying to be in the moment and sort of have this meditative state of mind. It's like it's hard to be in the moment because everything feels so dreamy, and it's like so. I've had all of these. I don't know, a blending between dreams or another reality and this reality, and it's very, very strange. And you can almost go. I could see how a sleep person could totally asleep, meaning not aware of this change we're in. Totally, just feeling cloudy headed. I'm like, I kind of feel cloudy headed today for some reason, and not realizing that this is something big happening, thinking it's just them or something. Like they need a cup of coffee or something, you know what I mean?
Well, I imagine that was really the majority of or a lot of us, our experience, it was for me, you know, ascension symptoms started years ago, you know, really starting in 20. So there was you know, that was the thing. I went through so many different, you know, doctors, different things trying to going on. That these are ascension energies, and you know, and thinking that there was something wrong with me.
Yeah, because
we're still seeing that.
The doctors, or if you think about it, there's tons of people going to the doctors right now expressing their symptoms, and then the doctor says, no, nothing's wrong with you. Or if it's sort of this, you know, I was listening to someone earlier that they were talking about when you have a Kundalini awakening, and say you have a blockage in one of your chakras, then you can actually have pains and things like this going on because of the blockage. And then you go into the doctor and they give you medication that actually stops the Kundalini awakening, and it sort of puts you back to sleep. So, I mean,
well, the pain is basically an awareness. It's there for your perception to see imbalance. Right. It's, you know, it's a sign. We just haven't, we're just really coming to a better understanding of that ourselves. Because, that's the way you do. You go to the doctors. I'm concerned too, how many, people fluctuating in the roller coaster of emotional energy and purging and exhaustion with, you know, the emotional upheaval and up and down, and go to the doctor and you know, are being put on medication and diagnosed as bipolar and all these different things. When again, this, you know, kind of similar, it's a process, right? That it's about being aware of your state, even when it is difficult. But I imagine there's quite a few people going the psychological route as well as the medical route, and
as well as synchronicities. I wanted to bring that up because people that, you know, like in my family or whatever, that just kind of roll their eyes when I notice synchronicities have been coming to me talking about seeing them. Like, oh my gosh, I keep seeing repeating numbers and stuff. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know. I think it's ramping up for everybody. It's really been ramping up for me. I think it was Ronnie just said that she doesn't really get the synchronicity. So I don't, I guess it's not across the board. You know, if you're awake, you get the synchronicities. I guess it's sort of, I don't know what it is. I don't think it's like indicative of being awake. I just think it's one of the symptoms you can have though, you know, because I've been noticing them. And then the awake.
I don't know. I think it has a big thing to do really with our perception in the process and understanding. It is, I believe, a big part of the transition in learning from going to linear to a quantum experience, really, in understanding that numbers are not just a number, that there are multiple meanings and multiple connections with everything in our experience, that it's just not one straight line of this is what a number means. That's just, you know, that there is a much more complex web that we are beginning to learn to perceive. These numbers are one of the major road signs, I think, in the beginning to help us understand the change in that perception going from linear to quantum.
I think that's a good point, because a lot of times I think, for me, I see it as a signpost, but also you can look deeper into it and say, well, what is this all about? Why am I seeing these? Or what does this specific number mean to me where I am? And I know a lot of people will look into that. That's why I put all the synchronicities in the description for people that might be searching for this later. And they're like, why do I keep saying 1111? What's the deal with this? And what the heck? But someone was asking me to, I guess I touched on a dream I'd had. I just had a dream that I was training to learn to fly with a group of people, and we were in this pool, and we were learning to lift our weight in the water first, because it was, you know, sort of you're lighter in the water, and then we were learning to lift ourselves up out of the pool, And, you know, if you sort of fall back down in it, you just splash back down, you don't get hurt. But we were just training to fly. And I reached a point where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like a drone and I can record my own videos now without, because I have a drone I'll fly around for footage. But in the dream, I was like, oh my gosh, it's like I'm the drone and I can fly around and record video now. And it was just really cool. So that was pretty much it. I've had a few of these training dreams. Another one where we were doing this obstacle course. We'd split off into two teams. One of us was protecting information. The other team was trying to sneak in and get the information without being detected. And it was like a capture the flag sort of fun thing. And so it was really cool.
I experienced for sure too. Yeah. And I think quite a few people sort of experienced that training, you know, with others and kind of doing these missions that were, you know, somewhat, competitive, but at the same time, you know, a lot of camaraderie, and that transitioning to a more, I'm finding going from that very physical activity of training, I'm finding, I think that process that you just before about being in between that state and that awareness, and what experiencing with that is instead of running around and doing all these activities,
whoops, I lost you. I'll step in while you're frozen.
Oh, yeah.
It's oh, there, I heard you say
Sorry. I think that there's a what I've experienced, a change from very physical training activities to now more in-depth conversational understandings. There's an exchange going on in that moment, like you were explaining, where am I awake or am I still sleeping? There's an awareness of dreaming yet being somewhat awake. So
right, I see what you mean. Yeah, and it was almost like in the dream with the one that I said was like playing capture the flag. It was almost like it was us using our gifts or our like we had new abilities that we were putting to the test. Like I think one of them was that I could swim under the water and I wasn't really limited by having to hold my breath. So I was able to sort of swim through the water and try to sneak into this area and get something. I don't really remember what it was, but it was, so it was like trying out our new abilities. So like the one was flying, the other one was under the water and being able to be okay under the water without breathing or maybe breathing the water. I'm not really sure how it worked, but I know that wasn't an issue. You know, it was, so it was really cool. I think
it's understanding that it was like, just like the flying, it's an acceptance that you are able to do it without the doubt allows you to do it. I had a similar experience with the water about 4 years ago, swimming just like that. And it was like a long pool, and it was, sort of doing these laps with understanding that I was getting used to the belief that I can do this in the water, just like flying, right? Practicing and it was the confidence building of the training exercise. So yeah, I had that very, very similar experience too a few years ago. You know what I'm thinking is happening now though, for me, is for sort of physical aspect of training is done, and those block knowings, that we talked the last few months about receiving, feeling like we're getting this information that we can't bring back with us. And I mentioned that I believe that we can't really bring it back right now in that reality, because it doesn't translate. It is our new operating system of perception tools in that higher quantum experience, right? Or the higher dimensional experience that doesn't work in the linear time frame that we're leaving. But what I believe I really am experiencing now is the understanding in that dream state that you mentioned just this couple days ago, was going over these block
knowings.
Yes, with a higher ground. It was like there was I don't want to say the word quiz, but there was confirmed going back and forth, making sure this was this process going back and forth. And I had the feeling that it really had to do with knowing that didn't previously translate into our experience, and that now they are coming online. So it's making sure, like, I read the user manual and I studied, you know, before doing driving tests.
Yeah.
Yeah. And go over it, you know, somebody help you study for exams.
Right.
Yeah. Really kind of feeling, knowing that these things were getting turned on, making sure I knew how to use them, and also that I knew how to teach them as well, or how to explain them in ways that we explain things now. Yeah.
Right. I think that's a good
sense.
point, because yeah, when I was reading Magenta Pixie's new book, it was actually talking about there's like some individuals that are training, and they're going to be the ones that sort of help people that they're not really awake to what's happening with the whole ascension thing, but they're good people. You know, they're either caught in their religion or religious dogma or whatever, but they're good people. They got a good heart, loving heart, but they don't know anything about this whole ascension thing, and they're going to need a hand to, you know, when they have that WTF moment and they're like, wait a minute, this isn't how things were supposed to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
yeah. Well, that's definitely my goal, really, with my channel and what I'm working on, and what I've actually, you know, been writing in the next video that I'm putting out, which is really kind of like a welcome to the new subscribers, sort of a revamp of my, this is what my channel is about, and what I'm trying to do. And it really is that it's navigating all these, you know, rabbit holes under this massive umbrella, right? Of
yeah, and congratulations on 1K subscribers. Did
Thank
you
you. I know. I know, very exciting. So that's why I was busting my butt. I did not sleep much last night because I was really wanting to get this done and get it out there, you know, to start off, celebrate that 1,000 mark, and set the tone and the pace for what's to come. And it really is to help people with the navigating and a transition from linear to quantum, and provide, you know, affirmations so they know they're not the only one crazy, and they're not alone, and maybe crazy is the new norm.
Right.
You know. And going over all these unique and interesting things, it can be very overwhelming, the amount of topics. And when you first, you know, put your toes into this ascension experience, it just goes from one thing to another thing to another thing. And there's so much information and different perspectives and different ways to present.
Right. Yeah. Different ways to present.
Non-judgmental.
Sorry, you cut out at different ways to present.
Yeah. Safe, non-judgmental.
Yeah, non-judgmental. That's a huge part of it, because really we're all on our own journey here, and it's important to sort of respect where people are on their journey. That's why, you know, people leave a comment and I feel like I need to respond to it, but at the same time I'm like, that's just where they're at, you know what I mean? And I try to sort of tell them, you know, look here and see what you see. And a lot of times it's religious people, you know, and like somebody said, what, you guys just don't know, you know, you're missing this whole point. And then they'll like tell me what their answer is, and I'm sitting there thinking, that's like where I was 5 years ago. But you can't, that sounds condescending to say that, you know what I mean? So but I have to sort of take myself back to where I was at that point and say, just look at this and look at this. And you know, like in religion, a lot of times I'm like, well, did Jesus ever say that? You might want to look at what Jesus said about Yahweh and things like this. And and just sort of lead them back. Because I know at that point the Bible was the only thing I would look at. So with religion, I'm like, I found my way out with the Bible, so I'll point to what scripture I found at that point. And I think it's important to sort of, you do that with your kids, you know, you sort of put yourself in your kids' place of where they're at in their development. And it's helpful to sort of think like you thought when you were at their age, thinking the things they think, and then sort of explain what your next step was and help them along their way. But, you know, it's hard to do that without people feeling like you're being condescending to them, like, oh, well, you think you're better or you're more awake or whatever. But it's really not like that. It's like, we're just all on this ladder, you know, and it's like, I've been on that rung you're on, you know what I mean? Oh, did I lose you all the way?
Oh, I was listening to you, so.
Okay.
But we are going to see that, like you just said, it was you that took you out of there. The only person that can sort of make that perception change. They really have to choose to. It really almost doesn't matter how many times you can hear the same information until you actually are at that point of addressing that experience, and whether or not you are ready to release those belief systems, it's up to you. But I think a good way to put it into perspective is just understanding, and we don't have to tell them this, but really when they are showing that triggered or judgmental reaction to differences in opinion or experiences, that really is actually just that mirror for them. That's what they need to release. Those are the belief systems or expectations that need to be released.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times what we try to do is to get people to where they are to where we are, but instead sort of help them to their next rung instead of trying to pull them all the way up to the rung that you're on. Because I think that, I used to think that there would be a point where it's like, finally I've reached, and there's a parable by Jesus that's in the Nag Hammadi text that didn't make it into our Bible, but it's beautiful. And it was like the parable about what is truth. And he says that you reach the mountain peak, and once you reach the mountain peak, you see there's another peak for you to reach. And then when you get to that peak, you see there's another peak. And it says, blessed is the man that can reach the peak where there's no more peaks or whatever. But I don't know that there is such a peak. I think, it's a momentum. There's a forward momentum that you just want to keep that growth coming, keep diving. That's why they're rabbit holes. They're like bottomless pits that you sort of hop into, and you keep learning and you keep developing.
You know what? I absolutely love it that you mentioned this, because this is exactly another thing that I had been writing about in the aspect of
Hello?
Oh yeah, sorry. I'm trying to find what I wrote down, because it's exactly pertaining to that. The understanding that never stop expanding, because that is exactly what we are.
Right.
Right.
Let's see.
Sorry, I'm just finding, because I just literally wrote this last night, and it's exactly right. So bear with me. Right. So the idea is that we are God's quantum creation, right? Okay, so quantum, a greater meaning for all things on all levels, seen and unseen. It's an exponential understanding that everything's connected in a multitude of ways that mirror to us the truths of our experience of consciousness, what it is to be an infinite being, limitless and infinite in a limitless and infinite universe. So we are created by consciousness, All right. There's only 2 times that we do not have choice.
Mm-hmm.
We did not choose to be created because we weren't conscious. We were created. So it was chosen that we were created.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I'm going to go. So I'm going to do connection to, all right. So we are created, and the consciousness that we have is the connection. Oh, no. I'm blowing this terrible. I'm sorry, guys. Me and my messy notes. I'm trying to make sure I say this right.
Scott saying, Scott Light Warrior, correct, saying his energy is through the roof. And Jamie said earlier, he's getting the high energy thing. And kind of share your symptoms, everybody. Are you guys getting headaches?
Yeah.
I had one yesterday. Today it's gone, but I felt zingy at times. I felt blissful at times. I felt dreamy at times, like I'm not quite awake, and it's like I'm lingering in this between awake and I don't know. It's like I can be fully awake, but everything just seems dreamy. And so, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you're talking about consciousness and sort of tapping into.
What I'm trying to get to is what you were talking about is expansion, right? Like the bigger and the bigger and the bigger peak.
Mm-hmm.
The understanding that we are limitless, that we are infinite beings.
Mm-hmm.
We were made by the one great creator who created all. It is everything, right?
Right. And like little pieces.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And what we are made of, right? So we were made by and made of creator source of creative source, right? So we are, God's little mini creators out there. That is exactly what we are. So creation literally is about expansion, right?
Exactly.
You not create in stagnation. Creation is about constantly expanding, creating, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of what we are and what our experience of consciousness is. We are experiencing the conscious awareness of our expansion as creators made in the light of the one creator in a limitless experience. Right. So, yeah.
Right. And we don't even realize, for a while, you don't even realize that you're creating. It's like you just think you're discovering, but you get to the point where you expand your awareness or consciousness to the point where you realize you've been creating it all along. It's a trip,
Yeah. And what came to me with this idea too, and that we are, was what is consciousness, what allows and this really has to do with our transition from linear to quantum,
right?
Is and infinite, and it has to do with our perception, and our perception literally. So we are perceiving everything around us.
Whoops, you're cutting out real bad. Well,
sorry.
While we wait for you to get
Can
connected.
you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. But not now.
Oh.
I got to hear you laughing. That's good that we can be a good sport about it.
Yeah. Sorry. One. It's just it's a interesting idea that has been developing.
Yeah.
understanding how we are conscious, why we are conscious, how we are experiencing, and how that relates to being linear, and then how it relates to transitioning and understanding experience, or sorry, what a quantum experience is. And it is an expansion of our perception of our creation and how it's reflected to us. So it's a greater and greater perspective of how everything is connected and how everything is our experience,
Right.
reflecting to us our consciousness.
And that
Literally allows us to be conscious.
Yeah, that actually takes me back. What you were just saying takes me back to the parable of the fishes, which can be found in the same place I was just talking about, the what is truth. And it's actually by Jesus, but this isn't in the Bible. But you'll notice some of the similar wording that is in the Bible, that where you can tell that they actually took part of this and put it in the Bible, but they didn't put the whole thing in there. And it says, and there were certain men of doubtful mind came unto Jesus and said unto him, Thou tellest us that our life and being is from God, but we have never seen God, nor do we know any of God. Canst thou show us whom you calleth the Father, Mother? This is a different text, so it says the Father, Mother, because it's like the divine parent, so it's not really a male or female, it's both. One God. We know that not of God. And then it says, Jesus answered them, saying, Hear ye this parable of the fishes. The fishes of a certain river communed with one another, saying, They tell us that our life and being is from water, but we have never seen water. We know not what water is. Then some among them, wiser than the rest, said, We have heard that there dwelleth in the sea a wise and learned fish, who knoweth all things. Let us journey to him and ask him to show us what water is. So they swam through the water. Several of them set out to this great fish, and they went to where the fish dwelt and asked him. And when we heard them, he said to them, O ye foolish fish, consider not, wise are ye the few who seek. In the water ye live and move and have your being, which is the part that you might recognize from the Bible. From the water ye came, to the water ye return. Ye live in the water, yet ye know it not. In like manner ye live in God, and yet ye ask me, show us God. God is in all things, and all things are God. I love that, because it's like
Amen. Right. That is the difference between the linear experience of your reality, right? The one perceiving reality, it's a straight line, one way of living, one meaning to everything, right? One thing at a time. And as opposed to shifting to a quantum experience, quantum perception of your experience. And that's when you start to see, that's when they would start to understand what it is to be in that water. Yeah. It's that transition from perceiving things only one way, one at a time, one, and not understanding that things have a variety, like I always say, layers, right? There are layers upon layers of meaning to a greater meaning, to a greater meaning, to a greater meaning that is infinite. And in that limitless, infinite connection of each thing individually is how everything is connected, all as one.
Yeah.
Right.
And then
I hope that makes sense.
And then think about how, just to add to that, how the fish in the water have no idea of out of the water. You know what I mean? It's like maybe they'll fly up and out of the water and they're like, what was that place I just went to? I went to a different place where I couldn't breathe. And you know what I mean? It's like,
it really is experience, right? Story for that. It really is that. It's hard. Of perception to the next.
Yeah.
And
oh well.
It in greater meanings.
I guess we tried. it's cutting you out quite a bit. So we're missing a lot of the words.
That probably means I talked way too much already.
No.
Sorry, I get it. I just get excited because for you to bring up, you know, the exact things that I was, you know, squirreling away on last night.
Yeah, that's exciting because you can. I've noticed this since I, you know, started my channel, is that I'll be like working on something, and then somebody else will either have just put out a video that I didn't know was out. You know what I mean? Or they'll. It's like there's this wave of information that seems to go through different people, and you'll see it sort of manifest within YouTube channels. You know, like the whole non-player character thing that, you know, I did, and then I noticed like there was a slew of videos like that at that same time that I hadn't even known just came out. And it's like, what the heck's going on? And then, like, you know, it happened again with AI, and it was like, wow, all these other people talking about the same stuff at the same time. It's like, we're all picking up on something and don't even realize it. And, you know, the book talks about, Magenta's new book talks about how we're channeling all the time, and we don't know it. It's just, we don't consider it as channeling. You know what I mean? We're not like a channel that's sitting there telling people something, and you know, and we know that we're delivering a message from the Pleiadians or whatever. You know, it's like, it's not that kind of channeling, but it's like we're getting this information, and that those connections are beginning to get stronger and stronger. But we don't even realize we're channeling. It's like we just have a knowing sometimes, or an idea that we just think we thought of, but it really isn't that way at all. It's like we're really connecting to something greater than ourselves, and getting this information and sharing it, thinking that, oh, that would be a good topic to discuss, you know, but really we're tapping into something else outside of what we consider our brain and our own thoughts.
Well, you know what? That really is, you know, welcome to your new quantum collective consciousness experience.
Yeah.
Is understanding that and seeing those things play out. That is welcome to our new reality. And, you know, to bring it right back to the really beginning where we started with you know, the people that are resistant, and kind of doesn't matter what you say, don't need to convince anybody. We actually only need to just answer the questions of those who are asking, right?
Yeah.
Because that's where the synchronicities and those things come in, right? That is there for them to pick up. And it's when they pick up that marble on earth is that. And start asking. That's when we want to be there to answer the questions.
But what do we do when what do we do when people leave the comment that they're not really asking, they're telling you how you're wrong and that they want you to see things, you know? Then it's sort of like they might not be receptive to hear what you say. So I don't know. I just sort of try to point out the little nugget that I got at that point to move me forward and get that forward momentum going. Because I think beyond that, if you're trying to prove that you're right and they're wrong, that's where the ego steps in. But you want to be helpful at the same time. You know what I mean?
I think another way of looking at it too, as opposed to, we are going to help ourselves. You know, there's not necessarily something that you to help that person. They're on their experience. They will choose to help themselves when they do decide to. So you're kind of wasting your breath a bit. But what the take out of that experience is simply looking at your own reactions to sort of thermometer, you know, or barometer as to how you are progressing or adjusting, and if you're noticing reactions. And of course we know there's nothing wrong with it, but the awareness, we see that we don't react so much, or we know how to deal with it, or, you know, we don't have to say, no, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. You know, convincing each other, this determination to be right, you know, to be so determined that you have to tell somebody, to release the need to persist in your argument when somebody disagrees, and to be able to and see that it really has nothing to do with you other than how you choose to react to it.
Yeah.
Right. And really is a tool. And then focus those who are asking, who are standing in front of you asking a question, because those for help, and that's what needs to be focused on. Otherwise you're, I think, wasting your time and your energy for somebody who may not be ever in this ascension process.
Right.
Which brings me to mentioned before, Luna Ash's topic between those of us here with souls going through ascension, natural beings tied to Earth, and that there are beings who have souls and may not even actually totally be aware of it, but they do not perceive things the way that we do, and they will not be able to expand as we do. So that is why they cannot follow the three-dimensional entities that are here. They cannot expand beyond that because they're soulless. This is our natural environment.
Mm-hmm.
Infinite beings with souls. It is their unnatural environment that they have tried to condition us to stay in. So, and it's not that all soulless beings are, evil people, I think, which was interesting. And this is Luna's information that she just put out, but I did find it very, very good and a great perspective on looking at it and understanding that not everybody actually that is on this ascending with us. So don't waste too much energy. Let's focus on the ones that are asking those questions and are looking for those affirmations and are getting stuck in those rabbits.
Right. And that's a really important point, because I think a lot of times, and I call them the secret shoppers, because they seem like they're there to trigger you, right? To show you
testing.
Yeah, it's like a reflection of yourself. It's like, how are you going to handle this? Are you going to get upset? Are you going to get angry? Are you going to be empathetic towards where they're at in their walk? And I'll get back to that whole condescending thing, because it's like, this happened a while back, with Candy Crush years ago when I played it, and then like, either one of my kids or my wife would come to me and they're like, dude, it's like, I can't get past this level, and it's like, although I haven't finished the game, I've been on that level, right? So it's like, oh, this is all you got to do to get past that, and it's not really like you figured it all out. So you don't want to come across like that. But at the same time, you remember that level. So you're like, well, this is what I did, to get through that or whatever. So, and I think we got to help each other out. But like you were just saying, people have to be open and asking questions. They have to be in the receiving mode.
Yes.
And it's difficult because
we need to be aware of there are habits still there.
Yeah.
And we need to also be aware too of what truly is our intention in saying or doing these things too.
Right.
And just to be aware, right? Because we need to release having to convince anybody. We need to release everybody, people judging us, or getting angry even with the things we say, and be able to let it go. It's not an easy process, but those reactions, those situations are an opportunity for us. Never mind them and their progress or where they are, or what they're not letting go of, or what they're doing or not doing, to keep consistently bringing it back within.
Yeah.
Really, what is, where is it coming from within you?
Right. And is it about helping them along, or is it about proving to them that you're right? It's sort of, where's your heart with the whole thing? Are you really trying to help them? Is this a service to others sort of thing, like you're trying to help them? Or is it a service to self? you need to be right at this moment. You know what I
Well,
mean?
that's it.
Right. And it's huge.
It's kind of, they feel obligated to tell you that you're going to go to hell because they want to save you.
Right.
Right.
And you got to
But,
understand that too. It's like, they see you as being someone that's in this building that's on fire, and they're rushing in there to tell you, hey, the building you're in is on fire and you're going to die if you don't do what I say right now. So you have to, that gets back to where I was saying, you have to sort of get in their mind of where they're at on their road of truth. And that's why it helps that I was in religion so deeply, because I can remember being that way. And that sort of led me to where I am, because we were taught to go out and preach the gospel. And I was like, well, I want to be able to answer these tough questions before I go out and start trying to convert people. And, instead of learning how to convert people, I discovered a deeper truth. And I think so many people are willing to just repeat what their preacher said, or, hey, use this witnessing technique. But, don't go look into it for yourself. Just say this. If they say that, then say this. And then, they sort of give you like, talking points to sort of defend something that you haven't really looked into. And
just
that's
like a car salesman.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to know how the car works. Just here's the numbers you're going to need. Just spout these off, and you're good.
But that's a example. Under the linear perspective is not going to want to see that those talking points, are in selfishness in a way, in what they want. It's about what.
Right. But that sort of gets back to the point. It's like, we don't have time to go looking into this stuff real deep. Just follow, the house is on fire. You need to get these people out. You need to go out and start witnessing right now. And I never could get past, and there was something deeply ingrained in me, that made me say, hey, I need to look deeper before I try to convert somebody into something I don't even really understand.
Well, anybody who's rushing you to do anything, is not allowing you your experience at all. Right?
Right.
I think that's almost a purposeful activity, like to rush when you're rushing somebody. Hurry, you better hurry and get out there and do this. You're not allowing them to process anything, are you? You're putting that urgency behind them.
That's the sales tactic, urgency. Yeah. If you act now,
I know.
These are going to be gone soon.
There's an appointment at 4:00, and they already said they're bringing their deposit. Right. But this is again the perception of seeing those deeper layers, because when you were in that situation and saying those things, that you really did believe that experience, but with your expansion in your perception of how everything is connected in linear on, you are seeing a greater truth to that, right? That it's not just the words that are spoken, that you just believe them and they're true, that there is so much more to it. And those truths are to be found not anywhere else, but.
Yeah. And, Ronnie in Florida just brought out a good point, that a lot of times in religion, you're told not to, just to trust and not to, don't question God,
How dare you?
Yeah. They'll send you straight to hell for even questioning him and stuff. And I think doubting Thomas was real helpful to me, it's because it was like, no, it was clearly okay for him to doubt. He needed to touch the wounds and stuff to be convinced. And I think it's okay. It's like, once you start viewing God as this, heavenly divine parent, that if you stumble and fall, he's there to help you, like you would help your kid that's learning to walk, and not someone that's like, you go off on the limb and they're going to break the limb off and burn you, knock you off the limb even at times. It's like, once you switch your perception, it's okay to look into this deeper and to have a deeper relationship outside of religion.
Yeah. I think too, an understanding, like I said, that being created by the Creator, made of the light of the Creator itself, we are that, the separation between God and the individual is such a fallacy, really.
Yeah.
Because we are that. I am that.
Yeah.
Right? I am made of that. My experience, my consciousness, everything that I am was made from that.
Yeah.
And I am the expansion of the great creator, and expand in worship of creativity from which I came and from which I am made. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but, and that's the greater understanding. Our individual right to our perception in our expansion is ours and ours alone. Nobody else's.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's nobody else can know what you're feeling or how you're perceiving it. Nobody but you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I think we just need to be there to help people that are ready to ask the questions
and agree to disagree with the people that you don't.
Right.
And be okay with it.
Right.
To just be okay, able to agree. We can agree on one thing that we don't agree. Shake hands. Have a great day. Nice chatting with you.
Right.
To come at it like that instead of no, this is why I'm right and you're wrong. No. And then back and forth. Nobody is going to win. So
that's right. And I think that's, that gets back to the whole script. If somebody says this and say this, but if they say something that's off the script, you don't consider it. So, I mean, debating, I learned this a long time ago with my sister that, I could never, if she got into debate mode, she never considered anything I ever said. It was because, each step of the way outside of the church, I would have discussions with her about it. I'm like, well, what about this? And she would just repeat things that I would repeat like a year before that. And I was like, she's just repeating what I used to say. Yeah. I'm like, I used to say what you're saying, don't you realize? But it didn't matter. It just doesn't matter because they're not in receiving mode. They're in defending mode. And so it's just a waste of time. So I stopped talking to her about stuff like that. I was like, I don't want to fight with my sister. I won't even discuss it because I know it'll just lead to a fight, No,
and it is her God-given birthright to choose the pace of it, how it is done. That is her
her sovereign free will to do that.
Yeah. And we may resonate with something.
Well, you got choppy.
But
it's been a choppy ride, but we have minutes.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's Mother Nature, So
yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah, or something. Yeah.
Right. But, this might as well have been a debate. We would have, it got as much done.
So many interesting ideas, and it's good to set an example.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And it was fun to have those discussions. But when people don't even consider what you're saying, it is just a waste of time if it just turns into an argument or a fight or defending a point of view. And so yeah. So with that, I was gonna. It's pretty choppy. I was gonna call it a show.
Oh, go ahead. No, I'm good.
But you got a video. How are you gonna put it out today?
If I have to stay up all night, yeah, I'm trying. I'm doing my darnest. I did not sleep much, just trying to put this all together. So it's a lot of foundational work right now that I'm gathering in order to be able to continue to put things out efficiently, right? So building my groundwork, but just about there, just about done.
Awesome. It's fun being a content creator, isn't it?
I am enjoying it like a crazy, eccentric artist who's found their passion. Not sleeping, a little erratic. I might sound a little off, but I've really been in my own creative bliss.
I know. I wish I had my hair that I had younger, that I could just get up with my hair just gray now, but just wild and poking out everywhere like the mad scientist, just to sort of fit in with the image, the crazy man image. We fight against it so hard, but why not just go with it,
Yeah. Well, I saw myself earlier this morning, and I thought, wow, you look like Albert Einstein today. And that's where I was like, wow, I'm really taking on this, passionate artist in the thralls of their creative experience. But I'm absolutely loving it, and really feel like I have found what I've been looking for. So it's a great feeling.
Getting to the sweet spot of your purpose.
Like, this is what I was waiting for. Yeah, I'm really enjoying processing this information and putting it together, deciphering it, and figuring out how to present it, and then change from linear to quantum, and also how we present and discuss information as well.
Exactly. Well, I look forward for you to put that out. Soon. I do have I have Michelle's link in the description below, so you can go subscribe to her channel as well as her email. I will tell you what it is. It is Wolfe, WOLFE.art101@gmail.com. If you have any dreams and you want to share it with her, so you can jot that email address down, because I don't want to have her spammed if I put it in the description. Or you can leave a comment to one of her videos and get a hold of her that way, of course, by going to her channel. And I want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you. I'll just say Thursday, Enlightened Self is on. We're doing a dream share. Anybody want to join in and talk about dreams? I'll be on Thursday.
I don't think they heard what you said. You said you're going to be where? Doing what?
Sorry. Thursday, dream share with Enlightened Self, Joel.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
And it'll be live, so discussing and talking about dreams as well then too. So
awesome. So day after tomorrow, she will be with Joel doing dream time.
Yes.
Awesome.
As long as I remember what day it is.
Yeah, right. I'm so glad I have these anchor.
I'll stop.
Anchor interviews. I've got the Saturday night, the Friday night. I've got the Tuesday with you, so it helps keep me on track with my days. Because if it wasn't for that, I'd be lost in the days too. So I completely understand. So lots of love and light to everybody in the chat, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a good one.
Thanks, guys. Peace.
If you'd like to support the work I do, go to paypal.me/UOTF. Thanks.